Huddle up, teammates, and welcome to another episode of the Coach's Huddle. Tonight, we talk about success, and we're sitting down with Mr. Bryan Humphrey, a TED speaker, a author, a motivator, and a man who is about motivating people to move in the right direction. He comes to the huddle to tell us what it takes to be successful. We all want to be successful, but everybody has their own blueprint. And sometimes that blueprint can be hard, sometimes it can be easy. But sometimes we just don't know which way to go. So Mr. Bryan Humphrey is going to come on, share some of his insight, share some of the things he's been through, and he's going to take our huddle to a successful level. So sit down, relax, and let's get this thing going. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Coach's Huddle. And tonight, the huddle is all about success. We are happy. We are gracious to be here with the one, the only Mr. Bryan Humphrey. He is a self-fulfillment coach. He's author of 2 books, not one, but 2 books. My man is doing big things. So definitely somebody that I want to hear about when it comes down to success. So I wanted to bring him to you guys. So before we get into all that, Mr. Bryan Humphrey, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing very well. I actually just left the gym, so I'm in a very, very great mood right now.
Okay, so you went and got that workout in, huh? You said that's a part of it. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, if y'all, once again, we'll make sure we put his page information towards the end. If you look at his page, you're going to find out Mr. Humphrey stays up in the gym. He goes there quite often. He's a frequent visitor. Some of us talk about the gym. He's actually up in there. So, Bryan, we live in this world that everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to be successful. Everybody says, I want to do the things that help me be great. But for some reason, everybody's not successful. In your opinion, what will be the first reason or cause because of that?
Lack of self-awareness.
Okay. So in that self-awareness, help me go a little further than that. Where do people fall there?
Okay. So there's so many things that is put into a human being, right? You had everybody has their dominant personality type. People are born with different gifts and talents. I have a natural speaking ability. Of course, I worked on it over the years and did speed engagement. I got even better. But I think everybody has at least one natural innate gift that the Creator gave us right from birth. And then knowing your gift, knowing your dominant personality traits, knowing your weaknesses, and also knowing the things that you can get better on. I think a lot of times, like you said, the gym, people want to get in shape. A lot of people know the recipe to get into shape. Do workouts that fit your body. Eat healthy. Don't eat a lot of sugar. Chill out. Keep fried food to a minimum. I'm drinking some green tea, decaf green tea with honey right now. So there's simple things. But the thing is, I think, is that people start too big, or they're not realistic about what they can actually maintain. Mm-hmm. It's not the doing part, because a person can go to the gym and work out a great 2-hour workout, a great hour-and-a-half workout, but how long can you last it? So I think the catch is the sustainability part. And that comes with being honest with yourself. Sometimes you may have to do a lighter workout. Sometimes you may have to do a heavy workout. So whatever you're working on, you got to be realistic according to if you got kids, if you're in a relationship, if you have a crazy job, if you have health issues and you may need more sleep than other people. Some entrepreneurs may need more sleep than other entrepreneurs. So you have to be aware of what works for you, and you have to dive in and go full force according. But a lot of people are not aware actually what works for them, and aware of who they really are, therefore, or aware of what their purpose is, therefore it holds them back from them sustaining those actions over a long period of time.
So I think you hit some very good key points in there, and I want to kind of go back to a couple of them. You started off with saying being able to identify your gift. I always say everybody is better than me at something. I don't know what that something is, but there's something that everybody does better than you. Mm-hmm. So for the individual who says, well, I don't know what I'm good at yet, how do you help that person? How do you tell that person who doesn't know if they found their gift, how to find the gift?
I think it's about trying things that you like, that you're interested in. For example, if somebody loves football and basketball, and their gift may not be playing, their gift could be managing a team. The gift could be being a basketball agent. The gift could be being a coach. There's some professional coaches who didn't play professional sports. Mm-hmm. So I think just trying what you could, as a human being, something we like it's not just because we like it just because of what we're doing. It's a natural connection to it. It may not be that exact thing. I knew I liked helping people, self-help. Now I wasn't sure. I didn't know speaking was my actual gift until really 25, but I knew I loved helping people. You know, so me loving helping, liking helping people and bettering themselves, making, better choices, living more rational, thinking better, critical thinking. It led to me motivational speaking because of what I was already doing. See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So if you start doing what you like, you can start dipping and dabbing in different things, and then that gift gonna come out. Your gift gonna come out of identifying doing something that you like. It's gonna come out eventually.
So basically dabbling into some of those things. And then once you start getting into it, you notice that doors started to open. And once those doors started to open, and especially when you're already doing something that you like, it makes it a lot easier to kind of move into. Now you moved into a second point, and I think this is probably the strongest word that people don't like to hear, man. And I gotta get quiet, because if you say it too loud, people may turn it off. Consistency. Oh boy, watch out. That C word. We are not consistent as people, as girls, women, guys, kids, black, white. It don't matter. Don't matter race, color, creed, origin. Consistency seems to be the biggest weakness of people who want to be successful. See, my mother used to say, your actions speak so loud, I can't hear what you're saying. Mm-hmm. How do you help somebody get more consistent when that seems to be one of the major problems that a lot of people face?
Consistent. A lot of the thing about consistency is having emotional toughness. Especially when you're doing something that's hard, right? And self-awareness is another thing. You have to make, like I said, it comes back to self-awareness. You got to identify what you can stick to and what you can continue to do over time. I think a lot of people put too much on themselves, because you got to be really honest when you look at yourself in the mirror, whatever journey you're going after, about how much work you're really trying to put in and what you actually want. Right. So I think consistency is very hard, because when things get shaky and you start doing certain things and you're on this journey, it gets so, if you're not emotionally, like, not necessarily just emotionally intelligent, but if you're not emotionally tough, like if you can't withstand, like today, like I used to work out in the morning time, I came in the evening time today because my schedule was different today. Right. And you got to be able to adjust and to adapt. A lot of people nowadays, from what I've seen through in therapy, doing coaching, consistency is nothing that they were used to. You feel what I'm saying? If that's in their families, if that's, raising in their neighborhood, it was so much, there's nothing wrong with being challenged, but it was so much dysfunction. And dysfunction makes it hard to be consistent. And dysfunction can be in the family, dysfunction can be in the friendship, dysfunction can be just internally. And I think dysfunction is created from entitlement, and created from lack of honesty with communication. So I think there's some people, the reason why people are honest and people who are transparent are gems in the world, because a lot of people are not. Now we're getting slowly better because the pandemic really helped us. We had to reflect. We had to. So I think that's one main thing with consistency, man. It's just our nature and how the world is, how people are being raised. Our kids, I do at-risk youth therapy, and I'm looking, I'm saying, I see why the dysfunction, because you got, when you're redirecting either yourself or somebody else, you can't redirect one time into, now every now and then we human beings, right? Oh, okay, I'm chilling right now. Oh, okay, I don't care. But like, as a friend, if we were cool, we were buddies from high school. You say, I'm gonna get back working out, Bryan. Cool. Of course, I'm gonna pay attention the first couple of months. But if I see you slipping, hey, you slipping up. Hey, if you say, Bryan, hold me accountable, like, I'm the type of person, like, if you tell me hold you accountable, I don't care about how you feel. I care about your results you're getting, because you asked me to do you a favor, and I'm doing you a favor. Now, if you opt out of that, that's because you don't have the emotional toughness to deal with what you asked for. And that goes back from how you were raised, how people treated you from the upbringing, all those things about being consistent, being disciplined. It's a lot of things that goes into it. But I think the main thing is just not being emotionally tough enough to actually withstand the ups and downs of being consistent or whatever you're trying to pursue.
I think you hit some major points, and you hit something in the end when you talked about that person that keeps you accountable. Number one, the team that surrounds you is so important. I really do believe the people that you surround yourself with really do help either elevate you or they bring you down. The problem I think a lot of people do run into is that you run into two types of friends. There's the person who really does care about friendship, and there's the person who more cares about likership. They want to be your friend, but they more about you liking them more than anything else. So how you said, I don't care how you feel. If you told me to tell you about working out, I'm going to tell you. That person who cares about likership, they're not going to do that. They're going to be like, it's okay. I'll skip with you. They'll enable some of those bad behaviors. So when you're making those judgments about that team that's surrounding you, what are some of the red flags that you use to let you know, hey, this may not be the person for me or against me?
I think one of the biggest things is just people are not realistic about their situation, right? Because I always say, people say, man, how you elevate, how you get to a certain level in life. I said before anything, you got to respect your reality. So I think if I'm around people that don't respect their reality and don't respect their own process, how can they respect my process if I have some ups and downs, ebbs and flows? They don't respect their own process. So you don't have to really make a certain amount of money. You don't have to have a certain amount of degrees. It's more about you respecting your own process. Because if you can respect your growth and your elevation, you're putting work towards it, and you're showing that you're trying to get better. I don't care what you're trying to do. I don't care where you're trying to go. If you're showing you're trying to improve and you're respecting that, hey, this is my reality. I can't maybe go out every weekend, or I can't go to this fancy restaurant. I'm building whatever. That's fine. Because I know you respect my process. So that's how I look at it, and that's in my lens and how I go about life and friendships and stuff like that.
Now I'm gonna ask this question for that hypothetical person, that person that's sitting back saying, I bet it wasn't always this great. Let's go back a little bit. Now, you said you noticed at 25 is when you started realizing that speaking was your gift.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about a time that you had to have some challenges in your life, and what are some of the things you use to help you get through some of those tough times that you'd like to discuss?
Yeah. No, that's a great question. I think one of the biggest things is actually self-reflecting. And I'm the type of person, I'm gonna always ask for advice if I need it. And it's funny because a friend just asked me this on the phone, or I came here on the phone in person the other day. Oh, in person, matter of fact. And she asked me, she said, when it comes, who do you mentor? When it comes to asking for advice, I said, my advice is predicated off the situation. So it came to a point when I started being honest, I started asking people for advice. And when I stopped drinking, I started asking people, hey, what helped you stop drinking? If it's a problem with, maybe with work, or if it's a problem with friendship, I'll ask a certain person that can relate to that. So I started just asking more and more and more, because I started getting more honest with myself. I knew what I needed it, and I wasn't afraid to ask. And I think it came to a point at 25, because at 25, I did my first speaking engagement, but I took a whole year off from speaking because I was still, and I would drink every single day. Until a little sit up here and there, until I was drinking every day. And I was going to strip club every week. Now I still go out and have a good time, but I don't drink and I don't go to gymnast clubs. Nothing wrong. If you do that, that's fine. That's your lifestyle. I'm just saying that was something that was holding me back. Now, like, I went out last night, hung out with a friend, hung out with another friend. I got back home, woke up 7 o'clock, handled my business. But see, it's different when you go out and you add certain things that's going to hold you back, that I can't wake up early in the morning. So that was for me, right? So when I got honest with myself, I took my time. I had nothing against the things I don't do anymore, but I know those things held me back. I put this in both of my books. So I think that's one of the main things was the alcoholism. Another main thing was not necessarily telling myself the truth. You know what I'm saying? Of course, people going, when you're doing well, you got a master's, and you got some couple cars, and you got a nice apartment. People going to say the good things because you achieve more than them. You know what I'm saying? But that doesn't mean I still got issues and flaws and challenges to deal with as a person. And a lot of times, I think one of the biggest things that will hold people back is that they stay at the top of their circle. You got to always have somebody that you're leading, somebody that's leading you. I don't care how big you get. I don't care how, whatever you always have you got to always be the mentor in somebody in your circle and be the mentee to somebody in your circle. That's when you're always in a state of giving and growing. It's like an ebb and flow. So I think whenever I got to that point in my life, I started realizing, okay, Bryan, you can't do it on your own. You're gonna start asking questions. You gotta stop doing things that's holding you back. You still have fun. You gotta monitor more. And here's the catch to it, Coach. Whenever I had stopped drinking, I didn't just keep doing what I was doing. I didn't keep going out. I had to separate myself from what I was weak in until I became strong enough to go back to the situation. I teach this in therapy. Hey, step away from something for a while until you can reflect, until you can build, until you can get stronger. And then when you feel like you're strong enough, take a risk and go back into, if that's entrepreneurship, if that's, if you got health issues, you need a break from the gym, whatever it is, you have to take the time out to get to a point where you're strong enough to deal with your weakness again. I can go somewhere now and everybody can be turning up. I'm strong enough to be around any situation regarding with that my old weakness. So I think I just tell people all the time when it comes to growth, when it comes to fulfillment and getting better, you just really got to look yourself in the mirror and you got to write down what you're not being real about yourself with. I know it sounds very cliche. Well, how do you do this? You really sit there and you start taking care of yourself. You start writing down the gaps that you have in your life, and you put realistic steps, actual steps that you can utilize to overcome that. And it takes time, but
I don't think it's cliche at all. I think we overuse the word cliche. We always want to say things are cliche, but the cliche is the answer. You want to lose weight, don't eat this. It sounds cliche, but it's true. You want to make money, save. It's cliche, but it's real. So what I'm getting from what you said, honestly, was the biggest thing that I seen that you came over was you took that self-reflection of realizing that alcoholism, going out, and some of the other different things wasn't the best fit from you. What I think is the most powerful thing about this, and what I really want the viewers and the listeners to get from this, is you got stronger to a point to where you're able to now go out in those situations, but you're also strong enough to have enough self-realization. See, I'm learning. See, you teaching me too. See, that you can see yourself and say, no, I don't need to do that, but I can still hang in those situations. Now, I'm sure that didn't happen overnight. That wasn't, in 2 weeks, I was all better.
Process.
How does that process? Now, everybody's process is different, but that person who says, okay, I'm just going to write it down, and now I can just take my list and I can go to the club because I got my list of what I shouldn't do. Help this person guide through that process, because I don't want them to think it's just that easy.
I'm going to go back to emotional toughness, because that's one of the biggest reasons why people don't get to that point. They don't overcome that hump. Because if you're with your friends and say you've been 2 months sober, right? If drinking was one of your challenges, you with your friends and they all drinking. If you don't have emotional toughness, what you gonna do?
You gonna drink?
You have an emotional. You been with these your boys from college, from high school. You have an emotional connection with your boys, or for females with your ladies, right? You telling me that you're not getting one shot, really? So emotional toughness is saying, hey, even though I love you, we got history, I gotta still do what's best for me. So it's funny. I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and the dude was saying that his neighbor, his Christmas lights was always. I'm gonna shout out to Secret Success, Eric Thomas podcast. It was always every year. One of the dudes on the podcast, his neighbor had better lights for Christmas, and the dude said he bought new lights the day after Christmas. Lights was like $1, $2. He keep adding. But what you got to understand is most people are emotional. They're only going to do it because it's in the moment. Mm-hmm. Once Christmas is over, that emotion is what?
Gone.
It's gone. So I'm just going to put me in for buying it. Right? That's like whenever you're working out or whenever you're on a journey, people don't know how to keep going once the emotion is gone. Right? That's what I call the emotional toughness, with the discipline, with the rational, with the logic. Your brain is powerful. I believe your brain is the most powerful thing a human being has. Really putting yourself in a position where you have to know what you're actually capable of. If it takes you 6 months to overcome this hump, a year to overcome this hump, 2 years to overcome this hump, you have to be okay with the process. I think one of the biggest things is emotional control, and the emotional managing your emotions is huge. I'm pretty sure you've been a coach. You probably had athletes that were going D1, right? That were going to have talent, but they had some emotional challenges, some mental health challenges, or it held them back from making that jump. Because you got to be on point right here to keep elevating over and over again. Like, it's a beast.
Like, everybody chimes in on what the process is, but a lot of people don't know what the actual process is. My last guest that I just had, Mr. Brandon Collier, he talked about how he went through college, 4-year starter, draft night comes. He didn't get drafted. My man had a 4-year degree from UMass, completed college, and was scared to go outside because of he was so embarrassed and depressed, because to him, football was everything. And he didn't get there. And it took him to do some of the same things that you mentioned, that self-reflection, for him to sit down and really kind of chime in and realize, okay, what have I truly accomplished before he can get to that standpoint? So when you talk about the process, I truly do understand what you're saying. But I want to talk about another process you did, and one that I truly love to follow, man. You didn't write just one book, but man, you wrote 2 of them, man. Now, listen, I'm trying to write some memoirs, and you over here writing books. Talk to me about these books, man. Talk to me. Tell me why we need the Boss Up. Let's start with the Boss Up book.
Definitely the Boss Up, because you want to be happy along your process, and you want to be able to balance your life circumstances where you can keep elevating. Boss Up is all about a continuous elevation. That's all it is, according to what you want, what you're trying to do, who you are, what you're trying to achieve. And I think a lot of times people don't have the tools to know how to continue to elevate. They achieve something and that's it. They get a master's degree and that's it. Or they get something, they get married and that's it. Like, no, like we should always want to grow. It may not be as much as more in different years, different times in our life, but growth is a constant thing, because if you're not growing, we all know you're dying if you're not growing, right? That's a mental thing and it's a physical thing, right? And we know that. But I think this is a huge nugget for anybody that's really out there trying to write books. And I coach people on how to self-publish their own book, how to identify their purpose, all those things. But I think one of the biggest reasons why people don't come through with the book, or it takes them a long time, because they're working backwards. And working backwards, it's about identifying your title and your chapters first, right? Now, you can change the chapter's name maybe later on, but you got to know what you're already writing about so you can manifest that, right? For example, my second book, The Truth Always Wins, I knew my title, my subtitle, and my chapters 6 months prior before I even started writing the book. So what did I do? I did case studies. I started asking questions. Hey, I started asking people in different age ranges, what's stressing you out? What's the main thing in your life that's slowing you down? What's making you happy? So my questions and my conversations was related to what I was getting ready to write in the next couple months. So then when I started writing, I had more actual truth to write about according to what my subject of expertise is, which is fulfillment. And a lot of people start just write book, slow your roll. Even if you have a great story, there's a problem. Every book is supposed, even a poetry book, is supposed to solve a problem. People are trying to write a biography without a strategy. You gotta have a problem solved. So regardless if you overcome alcoholism, if you was a professional football player and then you got hurt, whatever situation may be, like it's all cool. But what is that problem are you trying to solve? And I knew at my first book, I knew my thing was more like, I knew it was fulfillment, but I wasn't exactly, but it was fulfillment. But my second book, I already knew. I said, okay, I help people become more fulfilled professionally in person. I knew it was. That's the problem I solved. So when you get in your brain and you know exactly what problem you solve, got your title, got your subtitle, you got your chapters, it's clockwork. It's clockwork. All you do is write. Clockwork. Hope to help you out too. As well.
Hey, listen, man. Y'all have to put you in with the forward. I have to put you in the forward now. You know, we have to put. Hey, man, Mr. Bryan Humphrey, push me over the edge. You're doing great things, and you're helping a lot of people. And I noticed you started doing some TED Talks. Now, can you help the listener understand what is a TED Talk and why they want to go check these out?
Thank you, Coach. Yeah, it's 15 minutes. TED Talks, TEDx Talk is a big speaking platform, worldwide platform. For people who are experts in their field, right? Whatever their field is, they either have a lot of experience personally or professionally or both, right? And where they have the credibility to speak about it. And also it's usually identified with a problem that is a problem that's being solved, right? So I spoke about overcoming obstacles, reaching self-fulfillment. Some people, when I spoke that, a person spoke about relationships, a person spoke about a tech problem. So it's about solving problems. And for those who don't know what TEDx Talks or TED Talks are, please check them out, guys. There's so many unique talks. It's going to blow your absolute mind. Now, some will be more inspiring, some will be more strategic, but whatever you need, you're going to find it. And when you find it, that one talk could change your life. It's always a crazy story how I got my TEDx Talk. If you want me to share,
Go for it.
So I was trying since 2000, probably the beginning of 2018, applying here. Denied. I probably applied. It was ridiculous, but most of them I got denied before even the actual process because they already had the speakers already listed, those things. So I ended up finding one. I live in Arlington, Texas. I ended up finding one, and I said, "Wow!" But it said December 1st, 2019. So I clicked it. I saw the host. Host was one of the students there. I couldn't find her email. Found her on Facebook. I texted her on Facebook. She didn't respond. I found her on Instagram from her Facebook. Messaged her on Instagram. Hey, I see you have an event going on, TEDx Talk on December. She said, actually, it's going to be in March. She kind of broke down the details. I said, oh, that's awesome. I can say I'm about attracting, not necessarily chasing. I said, that's awesome. I hope it goes well. I'll buy tickets. I'll be there. She's like, I guess she looked at my profile. I don't know what happened. I don't know what transpired in that 5-10 minutes between the message. She said, were you interested in being a speaker? I said, say what? I was like, go. I was like, say what? I said, I've been trying for a year now. I've been trying for let's say 10 months now. I didn't hit people up over email. I reached out. So I said, I would love to. She said, okay. She said, there's no guarantee yet, but she said, send out your your outline of your speech, all your credentials, everything. So I sent her my personal credentials, my professional credentials, my outline, my speech. And she hit me about it's about like a week later, said, hey, everything's good to go. This is the practice time rehearsal. And it's more of a like law of attraction thing. I've been working so hard for it. Like I always say, if you work so hard for something and it's kind of what you're supposed to do, you know, the world's going to give it back to you. And like, you got to just knock that wall down. It's about that time to try to do another one again. But that's the process. Sometimes, guys, like just a real nugget. Like when they say shoot your shot, it's very true. Sometimes you just got to go for it. If you know you've been working for something, you got to just go for it. And whatever happens, happens. And I think so many people are so worried about being ultra prepared for what they're trying to do that they're not really taking the risk. You're depending too much on like the preparation. Yeah, preparation is good, but you gotta believe in yourself. I tell people all the time, man, believe in yourself before you believe in the system. Because the system's gonna change according to how the world is. You gotta change the system. But like changing yourself, yeah, you change the approach, but you gotta keep your confidence, you gotta keep your faith, you gotta keep your direction. You know what I'm saying? So I always tell you, trust yourself before you trust the system. And then you go from there.
You gave some nuggets, man. And it brings us to the point where I give my final time out. And ladies and gentlemen, the final time out today, Mr. Humphreys just gave us some good stuff, man. But most of all, what I need you guys to understand is what are key things to take away is self-awareness and being truthful with yourself. If you can't take that moment to look at yourself and say, hey, this is what I'm working on, how can you expect to get better? You can talk all you want about making progress, but until you put some action behind those words, nothing will happen. You can depend on one person in this world and one person only, and that's yourself. Because family's great, friends are cool, but sometimes it needs you to do the legwork to do what you need to do. And he made another great point at the end, shooting your shot. Listen, the worst thing they can tell you is no, teammates. If you want it, go after it and get it. And nobody's going to get it for you. So you waiting for it to happen for you, you're going to be the person who waits forever. Go out there, attack your dreams. And if you want success, take it. Don't wait for it. Go out there and take it. I'd like to thank Mr. Humphreys. Coach, listen, Bryan, where can the people find you if they want to be able to follow you? Listen to what you got going on. Because look, he put out some good posts daily, man. So,
well, of course, my website is bryanhumphrey.org. It's Bryan with the Y, BRYAN, HUMPHREY.org. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook is all at Mr. Bryan Humphrey. Then my personal Facebook page is booming more than my business page. That's just regular Bryan Humphrey. And then my LinkedIn is Bryan Lynn Humphrey. And then I'm on TikTok here and there trying to mess with the young vibe, trying to learn how to do that. But I'm on there like once every other week or so. But it's Mr. Bryan Humphrey as well. It's pretty much the same all over the board, guys. Mr. Bryan Humphrey. My books are Boss Up, 10 Traits Moments Have to Reset Self-Actualization. There's ebook, there's audio, there's a physical, and then The Truth Always Wins. Becoming Fulfilled, Reducing Stress. There's all 3 versions. The TED Talk is Overcoming Obstacles, Reaching Self-Fulfillment. So there's no excuse if you don't want to spend no money, if you don't want to read a book. There's audio, there's an ebook, there's a TED Talk. So I'm trying to have. I'm like Denzel Washington off American Gangster. Like I'm trying to have what you need in all areas. There's no excuse for you not to get some of my content. If you just busy, you're on Instagram, I'm gonna post every day. You're gonna see me. I'm gonna make myself available. You're gonna see me.
Humphrey Magic, like Blue Magic, we got Humphrey Magic. Like it's on every corner.
Yeah, he everywhere. He on LinkedIn, he everywhere. But that's word advice for young entrepreneurs or young people who trying to build their brand. Get everywhere. Put yourself out there, because that's the only way people gonna really see you and find you.
Mr. Bryan, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate having you here in the Huddle, man. Again, that's another episode of the Huddle, and we out. Boom.